Hey guys, Jengar here. Welcome to today's premium review in which we are taking a look at the Italian BF-109 G2, another Messerschmitt miracle. It's great to be back in a 109, one of my favorite lines in War Thunder. Fantastic planes, fantastic fighters, energy fighters, boom and zoomers, you name it, they can do it. They're not just the perfect turn fighters, but hey, you can't have it all, right? Ah, the BF-109 line, Jesus Christ. And now the Italians have a G2. That is fantastic. Not that the Italians need it at this better rating, though, to be honest. I mean, they have plenty of other planes that are quite competitive. And, you know, for the firepower that this 109 has with the gun pods, you just need to take out a G55 or a G56. And it has it worked out in the wings. No detrimental effects on the flight model and stuff like that. But yeah, those Italians, they weren't half bad in engineering, those guys. Although nobody would say it from their reputation in World War II. But yeah, they in the end of the war they made some pretty good equipment. Anyways, this BF-109 G2, fantastic premium to buy, I have to say. It is a plane that has decent speed, but it's not more than decent. The maximum speed in this plane is about 501 kilometers an hour. It seems to be, I mean, it's more than a year and a half ago that I reviewed the regular G2, the Romanian one in the German tree. But this one seems to be 10 kilometers an hour slower. And I don't know if that goes for all the 109s. I know there have been some changes since I reviewed most of them. But it's usually some small flight model changes. But well, in my testing it came out 10 kilometers slower on all altitudes. So it was pretty consistent as well. So around 501 for without web at sea level. 523 with web. At that altitude. At 4,500 meters still go up to 466 without web and 484 with web, and finally at 6,500 meters 447 without web and 460 with web. So yeah, those speeds are still quite decent, and the drop off towards altitude is not too bad. It can usually be around 100 kilometers for most planes, but this plane only has a gap of around, let's say 60, 65, something like that. The top speed in a dive in the G2 is 751 before she redlines and 850 before she rips apart. That is fantastic. That top speed in a dive, it's really good. It can compete with most other planes, and there's just a few planes that will outdive it. There is a little bit of a problem sometimes in the roll rate though in the dive. The control shifting doesn't go up to 850. You have the first little tick at 500 kilometers an hour, and that is specifically in the roll rate, and then the second tick at 650, which is 100 kilometers before the red line, and that is a severe tick in control stiffening. It also comes up in the elevator eventually above 700, where you have to be really careful because even the elevator starts to stiffen up in the 109s. More than in other planes, the elevator's compression is quite serious. And it can happen to you that you, well, you crash into the ground if you still have to roll and have to pull up from that dive. So you have to be careful in the later ends of the dive because you can compress in a 109. And that goes the same for the G2. By the way, this first match that you're looking at is with gun pods, and this is a gameplay from Dispatch. The match you'll see after this is without the gun pods, which I flew in March when I actually wanted to make this video, but other priorities came before, and I never got around to flying this anymore. So. But I finished the video right now, so you'll have gameplay with the gun pods and without the gun pods, so you can compare a little bit. The stall speed in the G2 is around 160 kilometers an hour, which is no more than average. But the energy retention in the vertical is very good and the climb rate is excellent. So you do have a very good energy fighter on your hand here, and also a plane that can do stall maneuvers quite well. Even though the stall speed itself isn't spectacular. Firepower in the plane is good. You have one 20mm MG-151. That is, well, for me, is the best cannon in the game. I love that cannon. There's other good cannons in the game, but they come often later on. But the 109s have these guns early already. Yeah. It's a fantastic 20mm cannon. I used air targets, by the way, in this video. I have, and you have 200 rounds for the gun, so that's quite nice. This is supported by two 7.92mm MG-17 machine guns. I use stealth for that with 500 rounds per gun. You can also, of course, equip gun pods. And I should have gotten that guy there, by the way, on that pass. But I kept moving. I should have stopped using elevator there. You can also equip bombs, 4x 50kg bombs, or one 250kg bomb. Don't do that. Don't you dare put your bombs on a 109, unless, of course, you need to spade something and you want to keep her low. But putting guns on a 109, or putting bombs on a 109, I mean, come on. The gun pods are something to debate about. I mean, gun pods are both. With or without the gun pods, the 109 is very good. You trade a little bit of performance for much more firepower, and a little bit of performance has been made a little bit more, I believe. From what I heard from the guys, is that the detrimental effect of the gun pods is now worse, more severe on the flight model. So you drop performance for more firepower, and if you do that, you have to fly this plane more as a disciplined boom and zoomer than an energy fighter, or even a stall maneuver plane where you try to stall people out. That's very dangerous, and you need all the performance there. So if you're flying without the gun pods, you can do all the shenanigans, and if you fly with the gun pods, you have to be a little bit more careful in your flight style. So the firepower is good. The ammo load is great. 200 rounds on a cannon with 500 rounds on the machine guns is nice. Acceleration in the plane in a straight line is good. It accelerates quite nicely, and a little bit better without the gun pods, of course. And in a dive, it's very good. Again, with the effect when you put the gun pods on, it's a little bit less good. Energy retention in the horizontal is great. This plane with web holds its speed very nicely when you come out of a dive, and in the vertical is very good. So boom and zooming is fantastic in this plane. Energy fighting is also fantastic in this plane. Stall maneuvers are fun in this plane. It is fantastic in its performance, and it's still good with the gun pods, but it absolutely shines in these flight styles with without the gun pods. But with the gun pods, it's a better boom and zoomer, and she's better at head-ons, and you get your kills quicker. So, you know, there's something to say for both. It really is preference, I would say. The climb rate in this plane is excellent, absolutely nice, and you can get up to altitude and compete in the plane, no problemo. The turn time is decent. That is not one of the major strengths in this plane, although with flaps you get good turn time. Flaps rip off at around 510 kilometers an hour, which is great. Good speed. Only in the extreme low altitudes, when you have made your maximum speed, you can rip off the flaps, but usually it's only in a dive. But you have to be careful, because this plane has a good to very good acceleration, and if you lose, you can easily lose those flaps, so you have to be careful. But decent to good turn time, and the good is with the flaps deployed. So yeah, roll rate is also not another one of the excelling points of the 109, but it's still decent. It's nothing terrible. So maneuverability overall is decent to good. Overheating is definitely present. You do overheat both the oil and the water with extensive webbing, as you see here. They are already in the amber, and it doesn't cool off too quickly, so you gotta take your time and try to time your web usage, especially in dogfights you try to get clean on your overheating when you go into the dogfight, so you can actually abuse that weapon. But still, it's manageable and it does cool off, so you just have to pay it a little bit of attention. Durability in the plane is good. It's a small plane, a 109, and it's a tight fit for a pilot, but she can take a hit or two still. It is German engineering, right? So it's sturdily made. Absolutely. Oh man, yeah. So the 109s, fantastic planes. This is mainly an energy fighter, excelling at energy fighting, but also very good at booming. And well, you do not have the turn fighting role necessarily as a main occupation, but with flaps you can definitely, you know, take it to the enemy. And of course, against a dedicated turn fighter, she will always lose in a sustained turn. Yeah, I mean, that would be the case, right? This plane can outperform it in other areas, so disciplined flying you need in this plane and you'll be quite alright. The guns are very good, the performance is very nice. It's one of those lines, epic lines, world famous 109s, Messerschmitt design. It's just a brilliant plane. Absolutely lovely. Just a shame that the Germans didn't really develop it further during the war. For example, by putting the gun pots that they kept for the rest of the war, try to put them in the wings, trying to improve the wing design a little bit better. You know, increasing the performance in a dive, the handling in a dive, the roll rate, the compression. If they would have kept developing the 109 a little bit more seriously, it may have become a dreadful plane to fight against. But yeah, didn't really happen, unfortunately. Just stronger engines and stuff like that. But the basic design stayed the same, and you can put more and more power in a mid-30s design, but in the end it's gonna run out of date, and this plane definitely did that. Unfortunately for the Germans, one of the reasons they lost the war. Oh, here we go. We've got a fire. And that is gonna be my 5th kill, I believe. And thus you will see both an ace with the gun pots and an ace without the gun pots. You can do both. He is capable of doing both. The 200 rounds in the main gun. Enough of a purpose for that. But yeah, it's totally preference when you talking about the gun pots, yes or no. We've got Final Blow, Survivor, Terror of the Sky, 75,000 silver lines and 14,000 research points. I'll see you in the conclusion. Hey guys, so here we are. After the match, the BF-109 G2 Italian version is a lovely plane. It's a lovely design. It's a lovely skin. What can I say? I love the 109s. It's one of my favorite lines in the game, but I have to admit I have many. But this 109 line is it's fantastic. And the G2 is one of the best iterations of the 109, arguably comparable in favorable opinions with the F4, which many pilots describe as their favorite or their ultimate 109. But the G2 definitely out there on that list. It's a great plane. You don't really have to think about this. If you have the money and you want to get a good Italian premium, then this one is a no-brainer. You can buy her, and you know in advance that you're gonna be successful with it. It's gonna net you a lot of RP, a lot of SL, and you're gonna have a lot of fun in it. So yeah, the Italians do have a lot of main fighters in this battle rating that are very good as well. So, but if you want something for the oomph of better rewards, then this plane is something you can definitely consider, and you will not do a misbuy with this plane, that's for sure. Guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I want to thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye. If you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, become part of this community, If you are already a subscriber, don't forget to like the video, do leave me a comment, and if you really feel like helping out today, make sure to share the video with your friends and let them know about the channel.